So I have a huge update on the Millie Weaver saga that is going on right now. There's a new article out by the Daily Beast. It was actually dropped last night. Interesting article. She did an update last night where she talked about what happened and gave everybody an update. Let's take a look at it.
First of all, I want to say it's good to be back. I'm so happy and relieved and grateful that I have my freedom back right now, and I also have my children back right now, which means so much to me. And I just can't even express how grateful I am to all of the many people out there that came to my aid, that supported me through this hard time while I was being attacked. I know Tori also helped me so much, and I'm forever grateful to her. I can't really go too much into the court case details because it is still an ongoing matter. The judge did say in the court hearing that I'm not allowed to say that this has anything to do with a government conspiracy. Otherwise, I'm going to be put back in jail. And I was being humiliated, having my privacy from me, starving because they were giving me food that I could not tolerate and eat because I have lactose intolerance. I have other food sensitivities. I was crying a lot. I'm not going to lie. And it was hard. Okay. It was a life-changing experience, to say the least. So I will say that I felt your prayers. I felt the prayers from those of you guys that were praying for me and my family. Sorry. I didn't want to cry again. I didn't want to cry. I felt your prayers. So thank you. I'm forever grateful for the prayers and for you guys raising that GoFundMe for legal defense. And that money is going to be going directly into a legal account managed by lawyers, and it's going to be used to protect myself and my children who they tried to take from me. So it was a scary experience.
Didn't let that happen.
She had my back. So it was a scary time. It still is a scary time. We're still being monitored, and, we have to do everything right, but
I had an interesting experience because I put a video about this up yesterday, and in the video I included a small little clip that I got from Twitter of Alex Jones and Roger Stone talking about why Millie Weaver was fired from InfoWars, why her relationship was terminated, and the audio of that clip was stripped from my video, or like, it's the weirdest thing in the world to add to all the weird things that are happening. I mean, this is the clip. It starts a little bit before, but then we get to the video clip and the audio is completely stripped. Millie, it says, Alex Jones terminated our work relationship this morning, and the reason appears to be because Roger Stone and Alex Jones believed that Millie put something in the Shadowgate documentary about blaming Roger Stone. She writes this in another place. I publicly challenge AJ to a $10,000 wager, not from my legal fund, but from my InfoWars earnings. Show me where in the Shadowgate documentary we disparaged Roger Stone in the manner you described below. You also claim we attacked you and Trump. I think this is a little risky, but I'm going to go ahead and play this video. So then I start playing the video, and I could hear it. When I made the video, I could hear it. When I reviewed the video, I could hear it. But after it was uploaded to YouTube, I didn't obviously watch the video right away, but I started to get comments like, why is the audio muted? And the clip is muted, and things like that. And some people were like saying, hey, why don't upload videos until you reviewed them? Well, I mean, I assure you, the audio was there, and now it's not there. So that is some strange stuff. I'm pretty sure that video is even monetized. So I just I don't even understand what is going on here. But now let's take a fair look at some of the latest updates, because that's just bizarre. I mean, to add to all the bizarre things that are happening in this case, that just adds to it in my mind. And I have, I mean, I think in the end, severing ties with InfoWars and Alex Jones is probably going to be a good thing for Millie Weaver. And also, I think that when when people kind of don't like you on all sides, the Republicans, the Democrats, the fringe right, the fringe left, when you're hated on all sides, that means that your message is probably something that people should pay attention to. Because when all sides hate you, I feel like those are the messages that probably ring the most true to me. I'm not saying one way or the other whether Millie Weaver is like, I'm not trying to support her work or not support her work or say that her documentary is good or bad. I'm just saying that my ears perk up when she's getting it from all sides, when anybody's getting it from all sides, because being an independent like I am, I often get it from both sides. So let's just take a look at this story on the Daily Beast. InfoWars reporter hailed as a deep state victim. The cops say she just robbed her mom. Yeah. When InfoWars correspondent Millie Weaver was arrested last week, her supporters claimed that she was a victim of the deep state prosecution of a truth-telling journalist. By Tuesday afternoon, they had raised more than $170,000 to help her fight the charges. In reality, Weaver wasn't some heroine at the vanguard of the fight against nefarious government agencies. Instead, she was arrested on charges of robbing her own mother, according to newly released court documents from police and prosecutors. But despite the less dramatic plot, Weaver's backers are still laying claim to her victimhood status, and she does not appear inclined to give the money back. On Friday, Weaver live-streamed with her arrest on her at her Ohio home by sheriff deputies in Portage County. She claimed she didn't know why she was being arrested, complained that she had not been warned via mail that she was about to be indicted, and insisted, as she was being arrested, that she was on the cusp of a major professional moment. I was literally about to break a huge breaking news right now, and I'm being arrested, and I have no idea why, Weaver said on her live stream. Soon after the arrest, one of Weaver's supporters published Shadowgate, a convoluted documentary in which Weaver and a handful of odd characters allege a deep state conspiracy among government contractors. Okay, obviously this is a very, very, very one-sided article, but it's important to know both sides, so I want to keep reading this so that you know the side that is against Millie Weaver. Alleged to be the puppet master behind American politics, and soon after that, Weaver's right-wing allies quickly claimed that the damaging secrets in Shadowgate were what prompted the authorities to descend upon her. Blaze TV host Elijah Schaefer claimed Weaver had been arrested for allegedly obtaining leaked government documents. Attorney Robert Barnes, who has represented InfoWars in the past, claimed that Weaver's arrest was probably criminalizing journalism that obtains information from whistleblowers. Ezra Levitt, the head of the conservative Canadian outlet Rebel News, set up a GoFundMe page in Weaver's name. With Weaver in jail, the donations began pouring in. Over the weekend, there was near total silence from local authorities about the charge she faced. Indeed, when asked whether Weaver was arrested for her documentary, a county jail official only laughed in an interview with the Daily Dot. But official documents now show that Weaver's arrest had nothing to do with the deep state, unless the alleged conspiracy included her own mother. I'll have more on that. You know, I think that it's important to see that there is something that really happened behind the charge, but it's also, you just can't ignore the fact that sometimes when somebody's going after you, the most direct route is often the hardest route. So if they were to say, we're going to retaliate against Millie Weaver for publishing that documentary, well, then that's just clearly against the Constitution, a violation of her right to free speech, or a violation of her human rights, so many things. So sometimes in battle, you don't go directly at your enemy. You you bore a tunnel under the ground and you come at them secretly from behind, or you go around a mountain and you attack them from the side. The direct route is often the most strategically unwise option, and so this article is not even bringing that in. So to continue that analogy further, when you're going after somebody or trying to discredit them, you're not going to just arrest them for their free speech. You're going to go through their history. You're going to go through their life. You're going to look at all their social media. You're going to look at all their past, anything that they've ever done, whether they spit on the ground or jaywalked, you're going to look into. And then you're going to find a way to get them. And I'll have more on that later. But official documents show that Weaver's arrest had nothing to do with the deep state, unless the alleged conspiracy includes her own mother. Weaver is formally facing 3 felony charges for robbery, evidence tampering, and obstruction of justice, as well as a misdemeanor domestic charge over an April family fight gone wrong. Weaver's husband, Gavin Wentz, and her brother, Charles Weaver, are facing the same charges. The incident in question took place on April 25, when Millie Weaver began arguing with and insulting her mother, Felicia McCarran, according to a police report. McCarran started a recording on her phone, an apparent attempt to catch Weaver's brother, and Weaver's husband talking about her. The Weavers and Wentz allegedly tried to take the phone away in a scuffle, and all 3 allegedly wrestled Felicia to the ground. Chuck grabbed Felicia's arm, and Gavin grabbed the other. The report reads, Millie joined in, and they all threw Felicia to the ground and held her down. So Millie just joined in? How? How did Millie join in? And why would a daughter actually fight her own mother? These are questions. And also, if there's a recording, where is it? Do the police have the recording? The trio succeeded in taking the phone, according to McCarran's account. And what constitutes the robbery Weaver is charged with. McCarran, who suffered a small abrasion in the scuffle, fled to the neighbor's house and called 911. While there, she saw Charles Weaver running to the back of the house in what she took to be an attempt to hide her phone. That's just conjecture. There's no way she knows for sure. And if he was just running to the back of the house to try to hide the phone, wouldn't the police do a thorough investigation? Wouldn't they have a sniffer dog come in and go out and try to find that phone? Because based on an article I read yesterday, it appears they don't have the phone. They never found the phone. And Millie's account was that her mother lost her phone 3 or 4 days earlier. Wouldn't it be interesting if that phone turns up somewhere? When deputies arrived, the Weaver siblings and Wentz claimed that McCarran suffered from mental issues and had lost her phone days earlier, the report alleges, but deputies became suspicious of the trio, suspecting that they were making up the explanation on the spot. Further investigation proved that McCarran had been texting someone from her church on her phone shortly before the alleged robbery, meaning that she could have lost it days earlier. By comparison, the deputies found McCarran's version of events believable. McCarran, the mother, I know, goes to the Mormon church, and she was talking to a Mormon pastor. I'm not sure if Millie Weaver's a Mormon, but I do know that that's the church they're referring to. As Millie told the story, she paused numerous times and seemed to be thinking of the details as she spoke, the report reads. The 3 would look at one another and pause, as if looking for the right answer before one would provide an answer. The trio's alleged attempts to lie to the officers were so obvious to authorities that they were described as absurd. At one point, Weaver's brother, Charles, told an officer that he had run behind the house to check out a flooding issue, not to hide the phone. When the officer pointed out that there were no footprints in the mud to show that Weaver had gone behind the house, Charles countered that he had jogged, which supposedly wouldn't have left footprints. Well, I mean, that is an issue, and it's an interesting issue that he went behind the house, and the police officer mentions that there's no footprints, but the neighbor saw him go behind the house. The neighbor could have told the officer where he went. They saw it, right? They're a witness. The officer, like, I don't know how huge this house is, but the officer could just pace back and forth and find the footprints if he thinks there's going to be footprints. But I would say that if the officer observes that there's no footprints, and the brother admits that he went behind the house, the neighbor said that he went behind the house, and the officer doesn't see any footprints, I would say that actually corroborates his story, and that running does not produce footprints, because it would be just so easy to pace back and forth and find the footprints. And the fact that there were none makes the story that jogging and not leaving footprints is more believable. However, it is suspect that there were no footprints when earlier in the day, before the officers arrived, it could have been colder, the ground could have been, mud. When it reaches a certain level, you don't leave footprints, and then when it warms up a little, you do leave footprints. There are a few explanations for that, but I do admit that if he's walking in an area and showing the officer where the flooding problem is, and they are making footprints as they're doing that, and then he didn't make footprints earlier, that is an inconsistency in the story. But again, the officer, it would be so easy for him to just pace back and forth and find footprints. So I'm a little, I don't like all the inconsistencies in this story. I don't like all the holes. I don't like everything that's going on that just doesn't make any sense. Millie Weaver didn't respond to a request for comment. Wenson Charles Weaver, along with McCarran, couldn't be reached for comment. That's actually probably smart. I think just not saying anything public about this from a legal perspective is a good one. I think her lawyer does need to come out and make a statement or something. Even as the details about Weaver's case trickled out, her supporters continued to believe she had been somehow punished by the government for her Shadowgate video. Roughly a dozen Weaver supporters gathered outside the Ohio courthouse Monday for Weaver's hearing, carrying signs that said Shadowgate or Free Millie Now. One claimed that Weaver had been arrested for journalism. And while Weaver's arrest turned out to be related to an alleged robbery of her mother, rather than a deep state skullduggery, GoFundMe will still allow Weaver to receive the $170,000 she raised so far. GoFundMe will offer donors refunds if they request them, according to a statement. In order to honor the intent of the fundraiser and pay legal fees related to this arrest, the funds will be transferred to Weaver's legal counsel, the statement reads. This will ensure the money raised will only be used for the campaign's stated purpose.
This is definitely a fascinating story, and I thought that I was done kind of looking into it. I was kind of over it, but I mean, more comes out all the time, and then having the audio taken from a video I put up, I mean, there must be a reasonable explanation for that. There just has to be. But it's weird. Let's just say that's weird. And I'm starting to see a lot of weird things around this case, so it just makes me more and more interested. I'd like to give a shout out to the Maine Fusion Center, a secret Maine State Police Department set up in the week of 9/11 to spy on terrorists, but now spy on anybody who's a little critical of the state of Maine. They have spied on me, they've spied on peaceful protesters, they've spied on people that were against a power line going through Maine, they've spied on Black Lives Matter protesters, and they are my most loyal fan. They've watched all my videos, read all my posts, so a big shout out to the Maine State Police Fusion Center.
These videos do take a lot of time. I don't make money on them, so if you would not mind, go check out my website, nationalsi.com, and if you know anybody who does insurance fraud assignments, insurance adjusters, lawyers, please email me their contact information so that I can reach out to them. I'm in the New England area. I'm licensed in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont. I work in Rhode Island, and also I'm down in the South too, in Tennessee. So any of those areas are great. If you know people that are in the industry, please forward their information. It would be very, very helpful. Also, check out my store. You can buy cool t-shirts and mugs and different things that help support my work. I just want to get to the truth. That's my goal with every case, with every story that I do, and the truth and uncovering the truth is very important, no matter where it leads.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare place for you. And if I go and prepare place for you, I will come again, and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.